Namaste, everyone. It's Michelle Skaletski-Boyd, intuitive medium and best-selling author. For many years, I was on Bob Olson's Best Psychic Mediums list as well as Afterlife TV, and I got to work with people all around the globe that helped launch my business. I then became a 3 times best-selling author. I have been sitting on my premier package, my signature product, for quite some time, not really sure what to do with it, and I realized it's time to share it with the world. And so I invite you to enjoy the experience, as I like to say, and if you appreciate it, then I ask for you to share it with your friends and also comment. I trust that this is going to spread in the beautiful energies of God Source's light and love. So have fun with it, everybody. Bye-bye.
Namaste, it's Michelle Skaletski-Boyd, the corporate woo-woo, founder of SoulFelt Words and best-selling author of Words for the Soul, Heaven-Sent Life Lessons and Conversations with God. Also creator of this 3-part free MIDI video training on how to become your own medium so you can begin afterlife communications for yourself. In this free training series, I'm going to teach you how to build more self-awareness, develop deeper self-trust, and become more familiar with higher self communication, which is an essential step to crossing the veil successfully on your own. So in this first video, I'm going to walk you through some important self-awareness exercises, because until you know how to fully connect to your higher self, you may find it difficult to discern between your egoic thoughts, your higher self, your angels, your spirit guides, and your departed loved ones. So I've been guiding others like you for years. And I have found out that most people simply are not using their body, their vessel, properly. So it's important that you remember to act like a dependable receiver so that the messages that you get are accurate and clear. If this rings as your truth, then you understand that it's necessary to figure out how to center and how to balance yourself from within. That's why in this video, you're going to learn some essential steps that then helps you experience full higher self, communication, and connection. So I know all too well what it's like to push my energy upward to the heavens in hopes that it would somehow help me connect with God, to my angels, to my guides, to departed loved ones. Please help. Can you hear me? Are you there? Well, if you haven't heard my story before, you're going to appreciate the fact that I used to consider myself to be pretty down to earth, which is kind of funny now that I think about it. First of all, I wasn't one of those airy-fairy, spacey people who clearly aren't in their bodies most of the time. I was practical. I was loyal. I was real to a fault. But here's the thing. I was really stuck in my head. Literally. Not only did my thoughts rule me rather than the other way around, my energy resided from my neck to the top of my head. So whenever I allowed myself to disperse my energy toward my heart, I began to feel. And when I began to feel, my soul let me know that I was feeling lost and unfulfilled. That's why it was so much easier to keep busy, to stay on task, to pour myself into my career. But God has a sense of humor, right? And God, by the way, for me, is creator, infinite intelligence, all that ever is and ever was. So what happened is, over a course of a couple years, God really rocked my world. Just 5 years into my marriage, and my husband asked for a separation. Talk about tearing my heart out. A few weeks later, my maternal grandmother died. And on her deathbed, she reminded me that love is all there is. At her memorial, my spouse and I got back together. So I figured, well, things could go back to normal, right? So what did I do? I put work first, since it was such a good escape. It kept my mind busy after all, and it prevented me from having to feel. Yet God was not done with me yet. Next came the phone call. One of my best friends since kindergarten was in a car accident and passed away, and I was devastated. All of my emotions came to the surface, and I was a total mess. One place I could run my job shortly thereafter told me that I was no longer needed anymore. Yep, they called it a downsizing, but it felt more like a kick to the curb. And so there I was, just me and my truth. I was unable to run for myself anymore, though God knows I tried. I even got angry with my maker, and I said some things I dare not repeat. And you know what? God loved me anyway. Whenever I fell down, my creator picked me up. Whenever I got upset, God's source showed me the way to inner peace. And the more I listened and the more I tuned in, the more I paid attention from within, the more I healed and the stronger I grew and the clearer my intuition became. And as soon as I connected with my higher self, I began connecting to my grandmother, who is one of my main spirit guides, by the way. And I received awesome dream visitations from my dear friend. And my marriage grew more healthy every day. And it all began with self-awareness. It is the first step to heavenly communication. Until you're willing to go within, to be present, to pay attention, it's very likely you're going to continue to spin. Since my own reawakening, I have gone on now to work with clients from all around the globe, helping them discover their own truths. And after thousands of sessions and experiences, I have learned that there's no way around it. You simply must go deep inside yourself first before you can reach those outside yourself. If you've been struggling to connect, perhaps you can relate. One of the main reasons I'm putting out these videos is to help enhance your awareness a little more. So before I offer an intuitive tool, I want to share two things with you. First, what I'm about to show you takes patience and takes time. As one of my dear inner circle clients said, all spiritual practice takes practice. So go slow, go steady as you begin to incorporate this into your world. Second, it's very likely that you'll want to give up when you're first starting out. That's human, and that's your ego's way of keeping you in your comfort zone, rather than allowing you to spiritually expand, to spiritually grow. I've been doing this now for a decade, so I guarantee that there will be some challenges along the path to your higher self. Goodness only knows I've had my fair share of them. Yet I also know that if you keep at it, your heavenly connection is assured. So the first thing that I want to tell you is this isn't for everyone. Sometimes it's the wrong timing. Sometimes you just know that I'm not the teacher for you, and that's okay. But if your soul is really giving you a spiritual pull right now, then consider that your sign. This is your signal to continue. The second thing is my truth is not yours. So be sure to keep checking in with yourself as we go along. So here goes. I'm now going to teach you what it really means to become one with your breath, to center and to ground. And as I mentioned, your angels, your guardians, your guides, and your departed loved ones, they're like a satellite dish in need of a receiver. So you're going to need to learn what it means to be in your body and how to use this temple in such a way that you can learn to tune into their frequency. Now, as an empath, I can already feel that some of you are already wondering or questioning or doubting. You may already, for instance, meditate, or you're already receiving messages from your loved ones, but sometimes those messages are fuzzy or they're unclear. Just stick with me for a bit, okay? Because I really, really believe that our paths have crossed for a good reason. This first video is on self-awareness. And what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to close your eyes. And if you can, if you're comfortable, I'd like for you to remove your shoes. You might want to do that with your eyes open. Remove your shoes and then just close your eyes, sit with your spine straight. And the reason for this is because we're going to be going through kind of a visual breathing exercise, but because your eyes are closed and we're really not in the same room together, you're going to be using your imagination and picturing some things. So I'm going to close my eyes with you and we're going to do this together. And this is exactly what I do with all my private clients when I'm talking with them one-on-one over the telephone. So here we go. So when it comes to your energy, it's really important that you understand that your energy cannot connect to higher self. It cannot connect to departed loved ones, angels, guardians, and guides, unless it's evenly dispersed from your head all the way to your feet. Most people, especially people who are logical people who like to do a lot of thinking, pondering, etc., they are only using this much of their energy field from their chin to the top of their head. And so as you close your eyes here, I'd like for you to just become aware of this energy field. And you're going to kind of feel that this is where you live. You live in this comfort zone. I like to call this the tower of the head. We kind of live between this space right between the eyes at this, like where your eyeglasses would sit, right on the bridge of your nose. Most people live there and they hang out there. But when it comes to connecting with loved ones, when it comes to intuition, it's important that we leave that area. We disperse that. That's why people say, get out of your head, move into your heart. So I'm going to start teaching you how to do that. First of all, though, let's do some breathing exercises. So when it comes to breath work, you really want to begin to notice. Remember, this first video is about self-awareness. So let's begin to notice what's happening with the breath. And so just close your eyes if you would, and notice your feet. And as you're breathing, preferably inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, I'd like for you to imagine that all of your oxygen is coming up through the bottom of your feet. Just imagine, if you would, that you're a flower drawing up water from the stem. And in this case, the water, your nutrients, is your oxygen. You start to feel it moving through the feet, up along the legs. And now we're going to switch just a bit. I want you to imagine that as you inhale, again, preferably through the nose, that all of that oxygen is coming up through the bottom of your left foot. It's traveling up through the calf of the left side, over the left knee and along the left thigh, all along the left hip. You're going to feel it traveling up along the left rib cage and up into the left shoulder, all along the left side of the neck and the left side of the face. Just imagine that it briefly hovers right between the third eye area, right at the bridge of the nose, that comfort zone, that tower in your head. And then as you exhale, preferably through the mouth, you're going to imagine it traveling down the right side of the body, right side of the face, right side of the arm, along the rib cage of the right side, the hip, the right thigh, the right knee, down the right calf and out the right foot. Now, remember, this is about self-awareness, so I just want you to begin to notice the breath. Notice what it feels like as you inhale along the left side of the body. Briefly pause, and then exhale all along the right side of the body. And just do a couple rounds. Now, some of you, if you've just lost a departed loved one, you can open your eyes now if you want. If you've just lost a departed loved one, you are feeling kind of relaxed right now. You're feeling a little woozy right now. And that is because your energy is running up and down, kind of like railroad tracks. And when your energies run side by side, you literally feel divided. And this is why it's called stress or depression, is because we're divided, we're split. And so when energy runs side by side, so if you were doing this exercise and you felt calm, you felt relaxed, you felt really good, then it's because your energies are running what's called homolateral. They're running side by side and working against each other. So what we want to do is we want to move the energies so that they start to cross over and work together, kind of like a DNA strand, like a spiral. We want them to start to work together. And so if you close your eyes again, I'm going to give you a good breathing exercise that I'd like for you to begin practicing. So I want you to imagine that you just exhaled through the bottom of your right foot, and you're coming over now and you're beginning the inhale. Now, I'm going to give you a pattern, a suggestion. Keep in mind, this is only a suggestion. This is not a rule. So imagine that you're moving now your inhale from your left foot and you're crossing over to your right knee. You're going from your right knee to your left hip, from your left hip up to your right shoulder, and from your right shoulder up to that center spot right between the eyes, that comfort zone. For your exhale, you're going from the center of your forehead down to your left shoulder. From your left shoulder, you're crossing over to your right hip. From your right hip, you're going down into your left knee. And from your left knee, you're crossing down into your right foot. I'm going to go through that again kind of fast. So your inhale, preferably through the nose, would be left foot to right knee to left hip, left hip to right shoulder up into the third eye. Now, your exhale, preferably through the mouth, would be third eye over to the left shoulder to right hip to left knee down into the right foot. Now, here's the thing. If you're someone who likes rules, I'm going to ask you to get rid of the rules. With intuition, there really needs to be room for imagination. And so get rid of the rules and understand that I just gave you examples as to where you can cross over. Everybody's breath is different. And so the point is you're not breathing up one side of the body and down the other and working against yourself. You're starting to allow those breaths to kind of spiral like a figure eight, like a DNA strand, which returns you back to health, homeostasis, and balance. And so, for example, if when we're doing this, you want to begin to cross the breath midway at the calf or midway at the thigh or midway at the rib cage, that's fine. You don't have to go foot to knee to hip to shoulder. I gave you those as touch points just as examples so you could get a feel for how the energy is going to move. Now, some people ask me, do I want it to be like crosses, X to X? Am I envisioning that the breath is crossing? No. You want it to glide. You want it to sail, again, like a spiral, like a figure eight. So imagine that you just exhaled through the bottom of your right foot. You're beginning your inhale. As you inhale, it begins to cross over, spiral, loop, cross over, spiral, loop. And it just keeps doing that all the way up until you get right around the third eye area. As you exhale, it begins to do the same thing. Now, I just want you to do a few rounds of that. Just notice how that feels. Now, some of you are having a lot of fun with this. You're like, wow, this is beautiful. I could stay here forever. This is amazing. And some of you are like, whoa, this is hard. And the reason why it's hard is because you're, again, living from here to here. And if you're living from here to here, you're working against yourself. And this is a tough one then because your intuition's fuzzy. It's not clear. It's like it's skipping because it's not working together. It's working against itself. So what I will tell you is that when I work with private clients, this particular step we practice for quite a bit of time. Sometimes it goes into more than one session, depending on whether or not a person is really stuck in logic and left brain. So my tip for you is this. When you are beginning to do this, you really allow your breath to cross over. In energy medicine terms, my dear friend, Donna Eden, some of you I'm sure have listened to her or seen her. I've had the opportunity to connect with her many times, and I absolutely adore her. She refers to the difference between this and this as homolateral and cross patterning. So you want your breath to begin to cross pattern. Now, the reason why some of you are getting stuck in the idea of doing this is because you like rules. And so when you started to do this, you're kind of like, oh crap, I just skipped my knee or I just skipped my hip. Again, there are no rules. Remember, this is not about you getting it right. This is about you relaxing. This is about you having fun. This is about you allowing yourself just to become self-aware and to notice where you're at right now. So rather than judge it, I'd like for you just to be open and allow some of this beautiful oneness and flow energy to begin to move through you. So let's try it again. Remember, there are no rules, okay? So just close your eyes. Imagine that you just exhaled through the bottom of your right foot. You're coming over now, and now have fun with it. Begin to loop the breath. Doesn't matter where, just come up. And now loop it down with the exhale. Now, everybody's breathing pattern is going to be different. Some of you have longer breaths, some of you have shorter breaths. It doesn't matter. Go with what works for you. Just keep spiraling that breath. Inhale through the nose, preferably. Briefly pause. Exhale through the mouth. Good. Now, in the very next exercise, what we're going to do is in the next training, I'm going to begin to build self-awareness into self-trust. So some of you are having some difficulty with this because you're not trusting yourself to leave this space. You're kind of like, this is kind of tough. Even imagining myself doing it feels awkward. And it's because you're really left brain dominant. We need to start opening your right brain a little bit, which I'll get into more detail in the next video. So until then, just keep practicing what it is you've been taught. Remember, there are no rules. Just notice what it feels like to have that breath spiraling all throughout you, not just from here to here, but all the way down to your toes and then back up again. That's going to keep you in a nice cross-patterning, centered, balanced condition, which is really huge when it comes to building self-trust and building higher self-connection, a key, remember, to afterlife communication. So at this point, what I will tell you is many people quit. They say, this is stupid, this is dumb, I don't get it, this is too hard. That's your ego trying to keep you in your comfort zone. I encourage you to keep going because when you do, you're going to be absolutely amazed at yourself. So now that you've started learning how to ground and how to center yourself properly, I want you to actually start doing it. Go out and do it. So as you have come to understand, what you've learned so far is all just a bunch of theory and all just a bunch of logic for your left brain. And it's going to stay that way until you really learn to internalize this in your body experientially. That's why soul play and practice serves you so well. Once you make it a part of your routine, inner transformation occurs, then joy and happiness have room to enter into your life. Look at me. I went from a complete and utter depressed mess to one of Bob Olson's best psychic mediums in the entire nation. And now I invite you to step into your truth, because now that you're becoming more aware, we can start to develop and strengthen your self-trust, something we'll be covering more in the next video, where you'll begin to learn how to surrender control to make room in your life for love and peace. I think we could all use some more love and peace in our lives. The moment you say yes to this process, your life begins to shift, and it's really that simple. So with that, remember to share your best takeaways for each training clip. Thanks for watching. Namaste.